Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki and Brian are talking about the movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. It is episode 263. We are in the middle of February, or middle-ish. I am Zaki Hassan. Brian Hall, you here?
I'm here.
It has been touch and go over the last couple of weeks.
Usually it's the end of the year with the holidays and everything where things get kind of sticky, but it's kind of funny how at the beginning of this year, usually sort of the early doldrums of the year, we're finding it hard to find time to get together and do this, but I'm happy we did today.
People listening are going to be like, again with that. You know what I mean?
I know.
But I kid you not. I mean, for the last couple days, it felt like you and I, and I'm sure Brian would agree, it's like we are in the cockpit on the launch pad. We're strapped in, and we're just waiting for mission control to give the go. And then they're like, hey, there's a weather pattern coming in, and we scrub the launch.
That is really how it feels, honestly. I mean, obviously, these are life things that in this metaphor with the weather, but like, that is so what it is. It's like on the calendar, like anticipating it at 3, and then I'm like, Zaki, how's tomorrow for you? You know.
So this is now our really our third time trying to make this happen.
Yeah.
But here we are. We're doing it.
I'm just happy we're here. I know it's going to happen. I always wish it would happen on time or more frequently. But as long as it happens at all, I'm happy. Well,
talk to me. I mean, what have you been up to?
Well, in terms of things I've been watching, it's funny. I started Yellowstone because we had been talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I saw the pilot. My brother and his girlfriend actually sat me down. When they watch it, they put on cowboy hats and put toothpicks in their mouths.
Oh, wow. They're doing the full cosplay.
Yes. So they invited me over, they made me dinner, and then they handed me a toothpick and they're like, we're showing you Yellowstone. I was like, so and I was like, got it. Like, I like the vibe. I like the setting. And then I kind of got derailed because Rian Johnson's Murder Columbo mystery thing, pastiche, Poker Face dropped on Peacock. And out of curiosity, I checked it out. Oh, well, I should say I have a friend that worked on it. And so I'd been seeing tweets or Instagram posts and stuff from her for the past couple of months. So I just wanted to say I watched it. And what I really liked about it was it's just one and done. Like, it's just a mystery an episode. And so it kind of derailed Yellowstone because then I found myself like, oh, well, yeah, I saw that. That was satisfying. Like, I'm done for the night. And then the next night I thought, well, I could do Yellowstone. What happened in the last episode? What's, I could do Poker Face, and so that's what I've been doing is I just started binging through Poker Face, and I'm not quite caught up yet, but I'm enjoying it. It goes back to, like I said, the Columbo 70s kind of, person gets dropped into some sort of murder mystery thing and then is kind of clever. And then, the people are like, I don't like this person snooping around. They'll figure me out. And then, she plays a little aloof and sort of oh yeah, just one more thing kind of, vibe going on.
I should say, Brian, I know for you, cable TV watching types such as you, you may not be aware, but on network television, they have lots of one and dones.
This I had this thought actually. I realized, I don't know if it was the Grammys or something, because I do have YouTube TV, and which is basically cable with another name. I was flipping channels. Usually what I do is I go straight to like TBS, TNT, HBO, just kind of look around there for like a movie or something. And the Grammys were on. And it occurred to me how little attention I pay to, like network television. Like, I didn't even know the Grammys were on. I don't know what like Chicago PD is, like, and it's probably, if Poker Face is, indicative of anything, it's probably, I would enjoy these things, or like getting into, I know you're a huge fan of Law and Order, there's a billion of those I could be, watching and kind of enjoying, and there's low commitment required.
In that vein, Law and Order Criminal Intent was essentially this style, because it was Vincent D'Onofrio as a quirky detective character who just one more things his way into solving solving the murders every week.
Yeah. And in this one, Natasha Lyonne, who plays the main character, she has like a quirk, right? So her sort of superpower is she knows when people are lying, pretty much without fail. So
And then she vomits when she knows that.
Exactly. I mean, well, in that vein, right? Like she has a tick or something that sort of gives her, like I say, a superpower. But what's interesting is she doesn't know why you're lying. So like she'll be speaking with someone and they're not telling the truth. So then she's got to figure out, okay, well, I know this is hinky. So now I've got to like work around this sort of area. And
But what's that mean, Brian? Hinky.
how about bullshit, Sam? Hey, I made up for the off air. I missed a fugitive reference. So
this is all we do, folks. We just have fugitive call and response. I should just real quick. I should mention this because we've been talking about the fugitive a lot recently. I was watching. It was on TV, and it was the point where Sam, the ID, he pulls it up and he's like, Desmondo Jose Luis, and I was explaining to the boys. Yeah, exactly. I was explaining that. I was like, I can text Uncle Brian, Desmondo Jose Luis, and I will get back. Where you at, Desmondo?
Absolutely.
And I was like, if that text exchange was uncovered, like that's the only evidence of us, people would be like, what in the world?
Yeah.
But we know.
We know. But Poker Face, I recommend it. It had this funny thing where when the pilot started, I thought it was going to be a little snappier than it was.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, interesting. Like I'm kind of choosing to keep going with this rather than getting lost in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing is the acting is so good that's what really begins to captivate you. And by the end, I was like, oh, let's do another one. And then the next one started and I kind of the same. I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm choosing this. And then by the end, I was like, oh, let's do another one. So that was kind of the effect it was having on me. And, another interesting thing too about it is you spend time with the victim and whatever characters in their orbit for almost like 15 minutes before Leon even comes into the story. So it's kind of, sometimes I'll find myself watching the story present itself and I'm 10 minutes in and I'm like, well, now I know these people. I don't want any of them to die. It's like, it really invests you in those people, I think, versus showing up and then there's sort of a corpse and it's like, all right, let's talk to the people they know. Or they knew, I don't know. I'd be curious if you check it out.
I'm hoping to at some point, but unlike you, I am working my way through Yellowstone. So
yes, which I will get to next.
So how far into that are you?
2 episodes.
Oh, snap! Okay,
so not far.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely I think on Saturday Night Live somebody described it as Succession, but outside.
Sure.
Which that really is what Yellowstone is,
Mm-hmm.
But I've been watching it with my wife, and it's definitely like, really like, just the worst family. Like you would never want to be part of this family,
right?
And you're like, God, if this is what money does to people, goddamn,
Right.
But that said, I've said to you, you may find the prequels an easier on-ramp.
Yeah, you've mentioned this, so maybe I should be heeding your advice.
Because I think there's nothing in the prequel shows that, at least thus far, that lives or dies on foreknowledge of what comes in Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you'd be good with those as just like, oh, okay, this is my entry into this universe, and then I can see where they're at, 100 years later.
Right. Okay. Perhaps I will do that. I have 2 Poker Faces to go, and then maybe I'll return to Montana.
Well, and I mean, speaking of Yellowstone, I don't know if you saw the news most recently. I mean, this is the most popular show on television based on just like the number of viewers. And
yeah.
It's weird how, and maybe this is because I live in the Bay Area. Like I've yet to meet anyone in person who actually watches it.
Yes, same. Like this is a new thing. I mean, it's been around for what, 4 seasons or something, and it, like you say, it's the
in the
hugest
middle of its
thing.
fifth season. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like my brother just got into it, and I reconnected with a friend from high school recently, and they were talking about it, and I was like, this is the first conversation I'm having about Yellowstone with anybody. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Kevin Costner stars on the show, and he, I mean, that was a big deal, him doing this show, and I would say probably that's what got a lot of eyeballs initially. Now he wants to leave. He has this like 18-hour Western that he's directing, right? It's
I
called
knew it
Horizon.
was like a film, or is
It's
it
like no, it's like a movie. It's going to be ridiculously long though, and
interesting?
so that's what he wants to do, and he wants to focus on that. So he now apparently his contract with Yellowstone is something like he films 65 days out of the year,
Hmm.
which I don't know, seems kind of like a sweet gig to me.
I mean, yeah, why not have that going,
Right.
like, and then, yeah, make your passion project on the side, or, in the other days.
Yeah, and so I think that, and by the way, I mean Costner's pulling down like $20 million a season off this show,
Wow.
not including his producer fee. So that means he owns a piece of it, right?
Wow.
So like he's doing okay, but I think
Yeah.
maybe he's just had enough. Maybe the series life isn't for him.
And that's true. I mean, maybe he's not used to playing a character, the same character for, years and years. And he's like, okay, I did what I want to do with this, and now I'm ready for something different.
Possibly, yeah. So, but of course, the problem is that Yellowstone is the hub of like what is now a major franchise.
Yep. Right.
And so, if he's like, "Hey, peace out," well, that could conceivably take the show with him, you know?
And I wonder if there's something too about it being active that makes it somehow still more of a draw. Because if it just ended, maybe people would be like, "Oh, well, that was a thing that happened," and they won't feel as compelled to come to it. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, isn't there
So,
talk about Matthew McConaughey coming on and it sort of pivoting a little bit into?
well, I mean, what they haven't said is what a McConaughey led show would be. So, is it another prequel? Is it a sequel? What happens to Costner's character, who is the patriarch of the family, you know?
Mhm.
I think this is just me. I think that if you're going to do something with McConaughey, which I can easily see him in this universe,
Sure.
it should not be Yellowstone. It should be something else.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's, to me, I think Yellowstone is the Kevin Costner story.
Right.
So that's, I wonder, like, is he just angling for a raise?
Maybe.
Which to me, it's like, look, man, we love Kevin Costner.
Sure.
So, but I'm like, look, this show has given him visibility at this stage of his life that he simply did not have in the movies, right?
Well, and 20 million for 65 days when many blockbusters take more than 65 days to make.
That's
I mean,
right.
that's, nothing to sniff at.
Yeah, and I mean, for a lot of the episodes, it involves him like sitting at a table and glowering angrily,
Right.
So I'm curious. I mean, it's definitely a story that as soon as it dropped, there was a portion of the TV watching audience that just screamed heavenward,
Mhm.
and then the other portion is like who's doing what to what now,
Right.
because it's not even on their radar.
Right.
That do you remember a couple on SNL just now, the Pedro Pascal episode? They had like the movie
think it
trivia,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Tell me you didn't relate to that sketch.
It was, what was amazing is they did stump me. Right. I mean, well, the premise is like Hollywood trivia, right? And so they'll be like, the 1980s or the 1940s or something that like everyone can kind of answer, like Wizard of Oz, or name this movie about this. And then they're like, oh, let's talk about the 2020s. And it was something like this, prestige series on, I don't know what streamer, stars Nicole Kidman, and she won an award for it. And people, they're like, I don't know. And they're like, Roar. It was called Roar. And like, no one's heard of it. And I'm like, I've never heard of it. And the joke being, there's just so much fragmented TV and entertainment out there now. It's like, I don't know. There's probably a lot of people won't even know the majority of what's going on except for what's directly in front of them or what they're choosing to watch.
It really, maybe I sound like a grumpy grandpa here, but this continual fragmenting makes me very sad because it's robbing us of a shared language, the pop culture language.
I'm conflicted because I agree with you, and at the same time, I got to watch a MacGruber TV series, and like there is just the fact that this movie that I don't even think made $10 million at the box office, but that I love, actually got a series made because Peacock was like, well, we need something at 6:30. I mean, that makes no sense, but you know what I'm saying. So it's kind of cool in some ways. And also you get something like a Squid Game. Like Squid Game would have never been put in front of us without this landscape. And somehow that did become one big thing everyone was talking about at a minute.
But that's one of the rare big things that everyone, right? Like
true.
Like I guess that's kind of like, it's like using Yellowstone as an example, right? This is, again, it's a hugely successful show. It's very expansive and it's a prestige production, and yet probably more than half of like the TV watching audience has no concept of it.
Yeah.
And I contrast that with Dallas.
Sure.
Which, being honest, Yellowstone is just 2020's Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't say that as a negative because as you know, Brian, I am a fan of Dallas. But in the 80s, even if you didn't watch Dallas, I'm going to assume you didn't watch Dallas. I didn't watch Dallas in the 80s, but we were aware of it. We knew it. We knew the shorthand. I
could joke with you right now about who shot JR.
Exactly.
And I don't even half know what that means. I just know what it is. Yeah.
And so the fact that everything has gotten so fragmented, that it makes me sad only in that sense that pop culture was a language that connected people, it connected generations, and those threads are being cut. And well, that is, that's disappointing.
Yeah. I agree. I wish there was, Or I mean, there are the big tentpole things that everybody sees either because they love them or out of obligation. I mean, like Marvel and whatnot. But it's like, sort of those
pretty short list.
Yeah. The one I'm trying to think of, unlikely is the wrong word, but something that would be less likely to happen today. That like we were in the 90s. I mean, like I don't know. The Fugitive is kind of an example. Like even though we joke about how it hasn't quite lived on necessarily in like the the quoting vernacular for people, but like it was a big movie at the time, like I'm sure it made like a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that is unlikely to become a thing. Well, actually there's a really good example. Cause again, maybe it hasn't carried over as much lately, but the whole, I didn't kill my wife, I don't care, or the one-armed man, or like for a long time, those were referenced in movies like The Mask and The Simpsons and all sorts of things, right? Like everybody knew that stuff from that thing. But I feel like that movie would be like, oh yeah, there's this movie that's like pretty good. It made like 30 million at the box office. Maybe I'll catch it on Netflix. Like that feels like what would happen to The Fugitive now.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's hard to find those multi-generational things that I've said on the show before, like my students reference Friends a lot.
Right.
But that's a rare thing.
Right.
Something that old. Like I don't even hear Seinfeld references in my students.
It's funny. Yeah, I guess I don't hear that as much as like, Friends or something, but I saw some sort of graph where it was the top streamed stuff. And Seinfeld was in there, like the top 10 or 12 or something. And I thought, wow, it kind of surprises me.
It's a couple weeks ago when they had when Jimmy Kimmel had his 20th anniversary thing, and they had all the clips from celebrities who were like, "Hey, Jimmy, congratulations, whatever," right?
Yeah.
And there was a clip of Jennifer Aniston and my fourth kid. He's like, "Who's that?" And Inaya, she's like, "Oh, she's from Friends."
That is crazy.
And I'm like, "How does she know? She's 5. How does she know Friends?"
I'm actually genuinely curious.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
Right?
I was at.
By the way, real quick, Inaya is she? Elmira from Tiny Toon Adventures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's her with our cat.
Oh, that's so funny.
She will not leave this cat alone.
That is hilarious. Does the cat enjoy being held?
He's fine with the other ones, but he sees her coming, he races in the opposite direction.
Really? Oh no.
Oh, yeah. It's she now bear in mind she's going to be 6 next month. She has been the baby for 6 months, 6 years.
Right.
And now suddenly she knows what it's like to have competition. So she's acting out and all those. She literally told my wife, she's like, "You love the cat more than me."
Wow. Oh man.
So that's another thing I have to deal with.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm calling her Inira.
When she's older. I mean, not now, but you show her a clip.
So she's just like bunny wunny,
Yeah.
squeezing this thing. His eyes are popping out of his head.
Squeeze it and pet it. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, just speaking of all these things too, and I don't know. Now we're kind of getting broader and broader, but just with relevancy and hanging on and what lasts. And just as a side note, I was in a Target or something, and I saw the kids' clothes section, and I saw a Jurassic Park shirt, which isn't too crazy because, of course, the movie came out last year, but still, I was like, wow, that's from when I was 13 or something. and then there was a Super Mario Brothers shirt, and I thought, wow, if 12-year-old me or something time traveled to the future and was like, so what's everybody into? And it's literally everything I like right now. It's kind of wild.
Well, because they got that movie coming out, right?
Of course. But it's just amazing. I mean, that's the shirts I would have wanted as a kid.
And you probably still wear them now.
Right.
In adult size.
Yeah. But, I watched something else, Zaki.
Yes.
I checked out your pal and mine, one of our filmmakers that it's complicated feelings, but we can't stay away. M. Night Shyamalan. I saw Knock at the Cabin.
I kind of love how through thick or thin, you got skin in the game. You're like, you know what? M. Night's got a movie out. I'm going to go see it.
Shyamalan always has a ticket from me. Always. And even when he was on the decline, for a minute there, I saw it, didn't like it, was ready for the next one. I'm just in the bag for this guy. And I think, look, I love The Sixth Sense. I love Unbreakable. I love Signs. I actually watched half of Signs on TV the other day. And so he hooked me. And the thing is he has the things he's not as strong at, maybe sometimes with the script or, landing the plane, story-wise at the end, whatever it is. But he is a really compelling filmmaker. He just knows how to make you want to look around a corner where he puts the camera. He knows how to draw your eye to something or to make you feel something with a static camera and the right edit. And that's just so darn rare these days. I love someone who has intention behind every choice in their filmmaking, and that can absolutely be said about Shyamalan. So yes, anything he puts out, I'm in. And even this premise looked really dark. I think we've talked before, home invasion movies kind of get under my skin. I just find they're so nihilistic, and just horrifying and kind of real worldy. And they really creep me out. But I was like, well, what's Shyamalan got to say about this? So, do you have any interest in this, by the way?
I would say enough to check it out when it hits streaming, but not to rush out to the theater to watch it.
Yeah. So basically, to try to avoid any spoilers or whatever, the IMDb description is: while vacationing, a girl and her parents are taken hostage by armed strangers who demand that the family make a choice to avert the apocalypse. So this was interesting. I saw this with my brother, and it's like a very Twilight Zone-y kind of yarn. And at the end of the day, it does get a thumbs up from me. And I think the reason is it's a really intriguing premise. And every minute that passed, I was like, what is going to happen next? What is going on? And like the acting was so good. Very good. Maybe some of the best acting he's had in any of his films, which really, really helped, I think, with this one in particular. The filmmaking is like on fire. The choices, the lenses when he's choosing certain depths of field. I mean, it is just, chef's kiss. I think the thing is, though, is when the movie's over, like the story, its logic and its rules just kind of, all the holes start to show. The light starts to come through.
So it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, credit where it's due. I mean, like Sixth Sense and all. I mean, like he's nailed it before, but I think he's having to live up to that every time since. And I think with this one, when it was over, I looked at my brother and he was just like, it didn't land. Like it didn't add up to anything. But I have to say, I enjoyed being on the ride. And I was like, yeah, I get that. But I think I would say I enjoyed it a little bit more because I was so taken with the craft and with the acting and with the tension and the mystery of it all. But I think he's absolutely right. Unfortunately, at the end, it doesn't add up to something completely satisfying or profound, or you just start asking questions, and maybe that's what he wants, but I think they're questions that make you wonder if it was good or not, the story at least. So, I would say at the end of the day, for me, it was a successful viewing experience. Like it was worth my time, and I enjoyed seeing the artistry, and I enjoyed being taken on the ride, and I really was tense and confused and intrigued. But yeah, I think it's absolutely worth saying if those things are not going to satisfy people, like if it's all going to matter what the culmination is at the end, which is completely understandable, I think people are going to feel, a little deflated at the end. And I saw that it got a C cinema score. So, I mean, like the ending, I mean, that's what you walk out with. So it's a hard movie to recommend, but I think if you like his craftiness, it's a great experience. But yes, at the end, unfortunately, you just wish it had kind of stuck that landing or landed on something a bit more profound,
What did you think of Dave Bautista in this?
Oh man, all the acting is good in this. I mean, Dave Bautista, he has a really tricky role because the thing is he's supposed to come in. I mean, this is in the trailer, so I don't feel like this is spoiling anything. But he's saying, look, the end of the world is going to happen unless one of you in this 3-person family kills someone, like someone in the family. One of you has to choose someone in your family to die so the world won't end. And the thing is they're not going to do it. They're not there to do it. They're just the messengers. And what's so difficult about what he's doing is he doesn't want this to happen. Like he just knows that the world is going to end if it doesn't happen. And so he is racked, with pain and guilt, but also conviction. I mean, it's a really, really tricky tightrope. And I think Bautista just, oh man. I mean, in his hulking presence, but there's this sorrow and this also weird like politeness because I've got to come in, soft with this because I'm going to present you something you do not want to hear. He's fantastic. They all are. I mean, Jonathan Groff was great. This other guy, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but the one who plays his husband in this, Ben Aldridge, I thought he was really, really good. The acting is great. So I'd be so curious for you to see this and talk about it with
Well,
you. So.
you've got me. Yeah, you've got me more intrigued to check it out. So
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe I will. Maybe I will go to the
Maybe I will.
AMC and I have the A list, so I'm not going to be affected by their weird uh, uh, price plan to charge more for certain seats.
Let's talk about that for a minute. I mean,
Sure.
like, what do you think about that? I mean, yeah, what Zaki's talking about, if people haven't heard this, is AMC is not proposing. I think they're just going to do this. They're going to charge different prices for the same screening depending on where you sit, right? So if you sit in the first couple rows, that won't cost as much as the plum seats, say, in the middle of the theater, and then everything that's not in the, quote unquote, I guess, best seats of the house, the middle, depending on your preferences. But all the other seats will be some sort of middle price.
That's right.
What do you think about that?
Well, I have a couple thoughts. On the one hand, it's easy to be like, well, I have A-list, so it doesn't affect me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's sort of that's like, well, then they came for these people, and I said nothing, and then I feel
Right.
you wait long enough, eventually this stuff does get back to you. I think it's dumb. First of all, I don't think going to the movies is like going to a concert.
Yeah.
Right. Like the fundamental conceit is silly in my opinion, because I don't think people approach it the same way. However, that said, I also am sympathetic because I'm like, well, maybe this is just another way for these places to keep the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, I'm not opposed to that.
That's conflicted. That's how I feel, because my theater actually closest to my place is closing, and
okay.
it's the one that you and I saw Crystal Skull at like years ago.
Oh
and,
man, it's closing.
Yep. And it was an ArcLight for years, which I just absolutely adored the experience there. And then it turned into a Regal, which, it lost a little bit of the fairy dust, but at the same time, it was fine. The employees there were actually really friendly. Every time I went there, I felt like, I had like a small conversation with an employee, and it was like, wow, I like this place. Like, it left me with a really great feeling. And then I just learned, this month is the last month I think it'll be operating. So, and it's crazy because, I mean, I guess when it was an ArcLight, it was their highest grossing, box office ArcLight in the country. So at one point it was
Really?
a draw, one of the biggest draws. But yeah, when I go to the movies these days, it's not nearly as full. I could say, like I remember Megan. I think Megan, which I don't think I talked about on the show, but we saw Megan over here, and that was maybe the most crowded I've seen a theater since early 2020. So I get it. I'm sympathetic. That I don't know, but it also is sort of, Elijah Wood had some sort of tweet that I'm going to paraphrase, where it was like, it almost turns it into this elitist thing where it's like, well, if you don't have the money, you get the bad seats, and the people who have the money get the good seats. And there's something kind of icky about that. So yeah, I don't know.
I guess they have tried this in certain regions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I guess based on the success there, they're deciding to go, to continue on with it. But at a glance, it doesn't seem like a smart way to keep people coming,
Well, I've heard other people's conversations talking about who's going to enforce this. Like, who's to say someone doesn't go in there, buy a cheap seat, and then just go sit in the middle, but you paid for the middle and that person's in your seat. And so then you've got to go get some poor teenager to come in there and settle a dispute. And I mean, that's,
Excuse me, sir.
I know.
This seat has been purchased already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nah, we'll see. We'll see.
That's kind of a TBD. I feel like it's gonna we're gonna have to see where things go with that.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Nicole Kidman will usher us through this with some sort of pre-show.
I think right now this is her moment.
Yeah, we need you, Nicole.
It's her time.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing I saw. We're talking about going back to things that sort of the entire country was talking about at one time. I decided to revisit the miniseries V.
Yeah. Yeah. V, which I've never seen.
You've never seen V? Wow.
No. Wait. Which you're talking about the 80s one, right?
The 80s one, yeah. There was like a remake or a reboot or whatever you want to call it about 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Not talking about that, but this year is the 40th anniversary of the original V miniseries, and I thought, I'm going to bust that out, and so I watched it with my 9-year-old, and definitely he is like fully like, oh man, put on the next one. Like what happened?
Oh, really?
That was fun watching it. This is written and directed by Kenneth Johnson, who I know him as the guy who created the Incredible Hulk TV show. You know him as the guy who directed Short Circuit 2.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so there's your in.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, I certainly think the first miniseries is pretty darn good. I think it holds up very well. It's a metaphor for fascism, right? So it substitutes, instead of Russians taking over or something during the Cold War, it has space aliens, and it has and it goes through a lot of those same tropes. But I think it's very effective. It's on the nose, but I think a story like this should be on the nose.
Sure. Yeah.
It's in a broad sense, it's inspired by a book by Sinclair Lewis called "It Can't Happen Here," right? And it's kind of that same idea that fascism comes in wearing a friendly face, and eventually people just don't even realize they've been taken over, and that's what makes V effective. Now, the first miniseries when it came out was it was like Roots level of like people watching and talking about it. It was very, there was a whole marketing campaign where people they had posters, of like propaganda posters of the space aliens in their red uniforms and very happy, and friendship is universal and this type of stuff. And they put those all around subway stations, and then people are like, what the hell is this? And then after a week or so, people went around and spray painted red V's all over them.
That's good.
V isn't viral, Brian, because
yes, right.
That's what got people talking. And so the first miniseries is very effective, and it did so well. It was like, up until then, it was like the second highest rated miniseries ever after Roots. So NBC, Warner Brothers, they're like, hey, come on, let's come back, let's do the sequel. And Kenneth Johnson's like, all right, here's my plan for the sequel. And they're like, no, you know what, we're going to do something else. And they fired him from his own thing. Which, isn't that just like the most Hollywood thing?
Yeah. Wait, right, 2 questions. So yes. How long was the first miniseries? How many episodes?
So it is in total, it's about 3 hours, two parts, 90 minutes each.
Oh, dang. Okay, I'll watch it. Yeah. In my head, I was thinking like a 2-season show or something. I was like, oh, that's a someday thing. But
no.
So what did they want? They wanted him to make did it ever turn to a show, or they wanted him to make another 3-hour total sort of thing?
Yeah. So there was a second miniseries that was intended to sort of wrap up the story.
I see.
And I think Johnson had intentions of, we can keep this thing going, right? But
sure.
I think NBC and Warner Brothers probably wanted cheaper and more explosions and that type of thing. And so you have a second miniseries, which it's almost like you can track at what point Kenneth Johnson's involvement stopped. You know what I mean? Because I think if the first miniseries is like a solid A, the second miniseries is like a solid B. So it's still watchable. You know what I mean?
Do you know what he wanted to do versus what they did?
Well, I know what he didn't want to do without spoiling anything. I think the way it ended was something that just knowing what I know of Kenneth Johnson's sensibilities, I'm like, well, that definitely wasn't a thing he would have wanted. But I think it is an effective wrap up. And then they came back, and it did really well. And then they came back a few months later, and they had a weekly series with no budget and no idea what they were doing. And so with each episode, I think it lasted 19 episodes. You can sort of see them running out of money with each episode, they keep repurposing special effects shots, and it sort of becomes comical. And you're like, man, talk about self-immolation of what
Right.
could have been a long-term franchise.
Right.
It is interesting to watch. Now, that all being said, I'm now going through the weekly series with my 9-year-old, and I think it works at his level because he's not going to be looking at all that stuff.
Right.
But the original miniseries, oh my gosh, it's fantastic.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, I mean that was one that, because I saw the second miniseries when I was a kid. I saw it in Saudi Arabia. I didn't see the first miniseries until I was probably 16, 17.
Okay.
So I was a little bit older, but I appreciated all the subtext and just straight up text, in terms of what it's trying to say. And I do think it's kind of an evergreen story.
Right.
Evergreen, because they're listeners.
How are the visual effect or special effects, I should say?
I think they hold up for the most part.
Yeah.
I think there's some stuff that's a little dodgy, where you have these space aliens and they're shoving groundhogs in their mouth, because they eat like livestock. That's a little dodgy, but I think I think Kenneth Johnson, just in general, is very smart about not letting his reach get too big. And so the effects serve the story in terms of what they were capable of achieving. And I think in that sense, it holds up.
Oh, smart.
But if you end up watching it, I'd be very curious what you think.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of folks in there, like Mark Singer from the Beastmaster, he's the main character. But you got like Robert Englund before Freddy.
Wow.
He either before or right around the first Nightmare on Elm Street. And Joanna Kearns is in there in like a small role. Like all these people, you're like, oh, hey, that person.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, that guy.
Right.
Also, I wanted to mention that the new season of Star Trek PICARD is about to drop on Paramount Plus. Now, what you said before about MacGruber.
Yes.
I feel like that's just as applicable here, because certainly without the streaming age, I would not get like whatever it is, like 5 Star Trek shows that are just airing one after the other on Paramount Plus. So we have the final season of Star Trek PICARD. And what makes this season particularly exciting is that Terry Metellus is the new showrunner. He wanted this to be, knowing it was the last season, he wanted this to be a proper farewell for the cast of Star Trek The Next Generation, who have not appeared on this show.
Oh.
In the first season, we had a couple of guest appearances by Jonathan Frakes as William Riker, and Brent Spiner showed up. But really, for whatever reason, Patrick Stewart was like, I don't want this to be just another regurgitation of The Next Generation.
Oh, interesting.
And so I guess they twisted his arm or whatever. And so they made this kind of the farewell that the Next Generation crew never got. The last Next Generation movie was in 2002.
Wow. And
it got beat at the box office opening weekend by Made in Manhattan, the Jennifer Lopez rom-com.
Wow.
So an ignominious fate for that movie, So the Next Generation crew never really got their farewell. You know what I mean? Like Star Trek 6, which you've seen. It ends with Captain Kirk, and and he gives his his captain's log, and he's like, "This is my final cruise aboard this ship," and and you're like, "Oh wow, this is the end." Like the Next Generation never got that,
right?
And so this is a 10-episode season. I've seen the first 6. This is how confident Paramount was. They're like, "Here you go, 3 weeks early, 6 out of the 10 episodes."
Wow,
what do you think of that? You know? And I'll tell you, I mean, this is the legacy sequel of the Next Generation.
That's fantastic, and it weaves with what they've done in previous seasons.
Yeah, what I would say is it doesn't so much weave with it as it doesn't ignore it, but it doesn't necessarily go out of its way to acknowledge it. So in the sense that I think they tried really hard to make this something that people who either got bored with the previous seasons or just didn't watch them can just watch cold.
Right.
and they'll get what they need to out of it. And the other thought I had, and this is a discussion you and I have had a lot. It really does feel like the Star Wars sequels have ended up mapping out in a lot of ways what legacy sequels should not do
Sure.
when it comes to specifically legacy characters.
Yeah. I mean, well, you can. Yeah. I mean, you get such strong reactions. It's almost impossible not to be like, oh, when people try this, you tend to get this kind of reaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So and you hate that that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to be able to feel free to make bold choices.
Yeah, but it is what it is. But there's definitely watching this, you get the sense that okay, Star Wars went in this direction, and that didn't work out so well in terms of polarization in the fan base. Let's go in the opposite route. So this really goes to great lengths to pull these characters back together and make them all relevant. And for me, I mean, you know this, Brian. I mean, gosh, I grew up watching The Next Generation. I've loved these characters all my life, and so seeing them back is obviously great. And I don't know how the season is going to end, but based on the first 6 episodes, I find it difficult to believe that they will just completely shit the bed.
Right.
In the last 4, it feels like they've built up a pretty solid head of steam. But fingers crossed. I'm knocking on wood as I say this. But I watched it. My kids were camping that weekend. I'm just blazing through it, and I'm like, God, I can't wait to watch this with my kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
so cool. You can share that with them, that they like it too.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing. Cause I've gone through Next Generation with them twice now. I watched it with my oldest one, and at the time he was like 9 or something, so my second one, he was, 7. So now he's like, well, I don't really remember it. Let's go. So I'm going through it again.
Aww.
So I know that they're going to enjoy it, but and this may not mean as much to you, Brian, but I know people listening who watch the show, Jonathan Frakes, it's like his best performance ever as Commander Riker. We get Brent Spiner gets something new and interesting to do with his character. I don't know what is planned with these Next Generation characters after this. Maybe nothing. But if this is indeed the final hurrah for them, I think what we missed out on 20 years ago, we get now, which is a true emotional farewell.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So with that, let's take a short break, and we'll come back right after this. And we're back, and we got a couple listener letters here, Brian.
Cool.
So first up, we got a question for you, Brian, from Corey Hebine, who asks, Brian, what's your deal with Bluey?
Like, what's my deal with it? Like, what's my beef, or like, what's my relationship?
Well, given that that's all there is, I suppose feel free to interpret as you choose.
What's your deal with Bluey?
This question is a Rorschach test for you, Brian.
I will say exactly what my deal is with Bluey, because I think it can be distilled quite simply. I heard it existed and that it was good, and so I chose to watch an episode, and was like, "Oh, this is adorable and hilarious and sweet and clever." And so then I started watching a couple more, and I don't have them in my DVR or anything, but I remember I was like alone in a cabin, like I did like a getaway weekend like a year or two ago, and I was flipping through channels and Bluey was on, and out of everything I was like, yeah, Bluey. So I watched I had a couple Blueys, and then I have friends with kids and they'll be like, you should see this one. And so I watched one where it was so funny. It was like their cousin comes to visit and the kid didn't take his nap, so he's very delirious and he's acting like he's drunk. And so it's like these little kids trying to take care of this drunk little kid who goes out and takes like their big wheel kind of car thing and is like, oh, and shouldn't be driving. And it's so funny. So yeah, I've seen a handful. I've had ones recommended and I checked them out, but I have not gone through the whole series, but I really love it. I really respect it too. The acting and the writing is so great. So that's my deal with Bluey.
That's your deal with Bluey. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Glad we established the parameters of that
Yes.
question. Yeah, my daughter loved that show. She went through the whole thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, now she's moved on to some other stuff, but she
Yeah.
had her Bluey phase there.
That's great. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's something that you feel, I think, happy to put your kids in front of because it is imaginative and clever, and it's not talking down to them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a note we got, and this is from Scotland, Brian.
Oh.
So this is from Hamza, who's not my son Hamza, unless he's in Scotland right now.
Right. Hamza.
He says, my name is Hamza and I'm from Scotland, the home of groundskeeper Willie. And yes, he's a pretty accurate depiction of a Scotsman. He says, I recently came across your podcast and I feel like I have struck gold.
Oh my gosh.
I love listening to you guys talk about everything, and I am now working my way through all of your past episodes. Well, that's nice.
Wow.
He says, I just want to thank you for such consistently insightful and hilarious conversation. Many are the times when you've had me laughing out loud. For example, in a recent episode, you guys were talking about Tommy Lee Jones movies where he basically just shouts at people. Which otherwise known as Tommy Lee Jones's entire IMDb listing, right? Could you guys please share your list of the top movies of that specific genre? I would also love to hear both of your thoughts on the actor himself and why it is so joyous to watch him shout at people. Once again, I love the show and really appreciate being able to spend time in your company from afar. Besters. Thank you, Hamza.
That means a lot. Thank you so much, Hamza.
I did not know at the start of this year how much time we would end up spending talking about Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. And it's funny because obviously for me, The Fugitive kickstarted my relationship with him. Right. And so then he had, like we were saying, he had that run in the 90s, kind of an unlikely run where he was, the lead of all these movies. Like, see, this is this is the point I'm going to get at. I don't know that I saw a lot of them. like is Tears of the Sun? That's a thing, right?
Yeah, that was Bruce Willis.
No, Heaven and Earth. Right? Oliver Stone.
Just listing movies. Yeah, Heaven and Earth, that was Tommy Lee. That's the Oliver Stone. That's right.
Yeah, Natural Born Killers. That was wild. Batman and Batman Forever. I will say, even though it might not be my favorite actual Tommy Lee Jones movie yell, my absolute favorite impersonation is you doing him in Ad Astra. Going, come get me.
Y'all. Come get me.
Come get me. Federica and I say that to each other all the time. All the time. Hey,
oh, no.
Come get me.
Come get me.
That is 100% my favorite. I don't know. You probably have seen more of his films than I have.
Well, so Under Siege is
right.
First time I heard of him, although I saw The Fugitive first, I watched Under Siege after that. And Under Siege also has the distinction of being the only good Steven Seagal movie.
Yes. And that's a wild performance from him. I mean, he's playing kind of a raucous guy, which is not usual.
Tommy Lee Jones, you mean?
Tommy Lee Jones, yes. Sorry.
That's right. Yeah, I was like, no, Steven Seagal is not raucous in anything.
I'm a chef.
Yeah, it's so funny because with Steven Seagal, he again, we talk about these epochs in time, right? Like Tommy Lee Jones had a moment. Steven Seagal had a moment too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And this shit, we need like archaeologists to delve into the cultural, look at the sandstone degradation and try to figure out like what was the cultural milieu in which Steven Seagal emerged,
Right.
Like he would come out with a movie and people would be like, oh, Steven Seagal has a new movie. And then they would pay money and go and sit in a room to watch Steven Seagal on the big screen. And that entire concept makes no sense to me.
Because I did not get swept up in that personally. I think Van Damme, we've talked about this before with Bloodsport. Like I didn't really get into Van Damme either, except, I saw like Hard Target and a couple of those because he had, he could do the splits and he had kind of like moves and he had like this sort of like charisma and whatnot. But yeah, with Seagal, I don't know what, I mean, I don't know what he brought that kept people coming.
So weird. I mean, like you look at you pull up his page on IMDb and it's like above the law, hard to kill, marked for death. It's just like these generic sounding names where if you were to like switch words around, it would sound like a Steven Seagal movie.
right.
Out for Justice. That's another one. And you could be like, okay, how about Above Justice? Marked to Kill. Out for the Law, or you know what I mean? It's all, they're all kind of,
right.
And so that's like 1988, 1989, and then you jump to now, and you got like Force of Execution, Code of Honor, and you're like, he's just doing the same shit,
right,
right. And I don't know if I'm assuming all of these are straight to video, but I'm like, there was a minute there where people went to watch his movies.
Yeah.
I went, Brian. I saw 2 Steven Seagal movies in the theater.
Do tell.
Yeah, one of which was On Deadly Ground, which he not only starred in, and which Academy Award winner Michael Caine starred in.
Oh, huh. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And Steven Seagal directed this movie.
Wow. And
right?
how is it?
What does the phrase Steven Seagal directed this movie conjure to your mind? It is that.
Okay.
I mean, it was because I went with my uncle, and he was like 100% on board.
Sure.
And this was 1994, so
Okay.
I'm like 13, 14, and I'm like, I think this movie's shit. Like I was like,
right.
Yeah. And I have not bothered revisiting it, but I mean, it is a preposterous, ridiculous thing where Seagal he's in Alaska and he works for Michael Caine owns like an oil refinery. And I don't know if like Seagal, that was his big thing in the 90s where he was like environmentalist.
It rings a bell. It's been a while.
There was, he
was a sheriff for a minute. Yeah.
I think he still is, right?
Oh, really?
He hosted an episode of SNL.
Yes.
Which is renowned far and wide as the worst episode, the worst guest host like that they've ever had.
That's the only host that cast members will actually admit by name was the worst host in their experience. Yeah.
That's right. And so like famously, like he didn't want to, he had no concept of humor, and he was very self-important, which you talk about. Sure. 2 lethal ingredients in an SNL host, right?
Yeah. And
so there's a sketch in that episode where it's these like oil company bigwigs, none of whom are the cast, who are like, hey, we're gonna ruin the environment, and then Steven Seagal comes in and just beats the shit out of them. And then he points to the camera and goes, that's what's going to happen to anyone who ruins the environment.
And then G.E. Smith is like, it
just gets... I mean, it's just nonsense,
Yeah.
And now imagine that. That's like a 5-minute sketch. Imagine that spread out over 90 minutes. And
right.
Right. It's just nonsensical, right?
Does he drown Michael Caine in oil? Like, this is what you love, isn't it? Like, kind of a thing.
That's a pretty good impression of Seagal, right?
Thanks.
That's angry Seagal. There's also
yes.
Now do happy Seagal.
My birthday, I can't believe it. That might have been too much, actually. A surprise for me. How delightful. I'm just a cook. That's all I got.
So he did that, and then like 2 years later, he was in Executive Decision, if you remember,
which I like, by the way. I remember liking that. It's been a while.
I think the reason I like that movie, is because Seagal is in it for about 10 minutes, and he gets blown out like the hatch of an airplane.
Yes. which was shocking.
And
Yeah.
here's it's meant to be the shocking thing, but I don't know if you remember this. They gave that shit away in the TV spots.
Oh, see, I don't remember that. Yeah.
Because basically, yeah, it's like Kurt Russell's like, we're not gonna make it, and then Seagal's like, you are, and you just see like the hatch close, and you're like, well, he's gonna die probably,
Right.
you know?
You're right.
And you see like this hatch blow up, and little like from a distance, this like dummy kind of just float out the thing. It's pretty funny, you know.
Yeah.
Directed by Stuart Baird, by the way, who did U.S. Marshals just like a year later.
Ah, interesting.
But my point is that I don't even know how we went down this road.
Under Siege because of Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. Wow. Sorry, everybody. So that's how I feel about Tommy Lee Jones. Moving on.
You know what? Actually, thinking about what Hamza was talking about, the sort of barking Tommy Lee Jones, I think for me it's less the bursts, but it's sort of his exasperated, frustrated speeches. Like, yeah. I mean, immediately off the top of my head, just to like actually answer the question, like The Fugitive. I mean, I want a hard target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse. Like that thing is really memorable from that. And then also, of course, I mean, the Men in Black thing, which is like you could put that on a sign and hang it somewhere, where he's like, person's smart, people are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and know it.
Such a great line.
And those two lines coming out of his mouth are just, I mean, absolutely elevated from what, just anyone else would have done.
Well, and I think right there with Agent K and Sam Gerard, you kind of have the poles of what makes for a compelling Tommy Lee Jones character, which is he is soft-spoken in that it takes a lot to rouse him, and he has sort of an everyman quality. And so that exasperated barking, as we see in The Fugitive, that's one lane, and you get your, a volcano is there, and Double Jeopardy, kind of, Space
Double
Cowboys.
Jeopardy, yeah.
Which is kind of like the unofficial third Fugitive movie. Like you could just kind of headcanon him into being Sam Gerard in that movie.
Yeah, wow, I forgot about that. Yeah,
right. But like Agent K is also like that character works because of the way Tommy Lee Jones has this sort of folksy charm. Right. And when you think about it, like when we did our commentary for Batman Forever, that was sort of our frustration with Tommy Lee Jones playing that interpretation of Two-Face, which is like, why not lean into his strengths, which is that sort of bubbling cauldron that's just underneath, as opposed to him screaming and prancing around and doing all that,
Yeah. Kind of trying to match Jim Carrey in a way.
That's right.
When why not play into the sort of like you say, that bubbling
and it
anguish.
He could not sanction his buffoonery, and yet there he was buffooning it up.
That's hilarious. Wait, and I just have to take this opportunity just for Hamza to say hi to Scotland, because my fiance Federica, with a friend, went and visited Scotland recently and absolutely adored it. She has not stopped talking about it, and she was saying, she really wants us to go there at some point because she just is continuing to think about it and what a great time she had there. So sending love over to Scotland.
Well, there we go. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully you found what we had to say about Tommy Lee Jones. Oh, and one thing I'll say, he has one of the great line deliveries of his career in Captain America, the First Avenger, near the end of the film, where Captain America is about to climb on the bad guy's plane and he kisses Haley Atwell.
Yeah.
And he kind of looks over at Tommy Lee Jones' driving thing, and he's just like, I'm not kissing you.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I mean, when you think about it, actually, that character in Captain America is such, like, it benefits so much just from plugging Tommy Lee Jones in. Because it's not a sizable role, but it's integral, and it leans heavily on just our fondness for him as a performer.
Yeah.
Right. And that's certainly something that those early MCU movies did a lot of, where they'd have these well-known, beloved actors in kind of small key roles.
Yep.
But with that, let's take another short break. We'll come back. We got some headlines to discuss.
All right.
And we are back. And hey, there's some news. There's some deals that are developing, Brian.
Wheeling and dealing.
Lots of stuff in that vein happening. I thought this was interesting. We have some new Disney sequels coming.
Okay.
So
this is Igering over there, or getting people excited, or what is this? Did this come from some sort of earnings call or something, or what's?
Yeah. So this is Bob Iger after several rounds of layoffs and losses in the last month. Disney has not had a great couple months.
Mm-hmm.
So Bob Iger, they got rid of the other Bob. What's his name? Chapek, right? That was his name.
I think so.
So he was the head. He had signed a new contract, and they said, actually, psych, never mind.
Right.
They showed him the door, although he's doing okay because I think his golden parachute was quite golden. But they brought back Bob Iger to right the ship. And one of the things he's announced is that Disney has a whole raft of new sequels coming. Among them, Frozen 3.
Okay.
Inside Out 2.
You're right.
Zootopia 2. And perhaps most polarizing, Toy Story 5.
Yes. Because I think that one is interesting because 4, I feel people were like, oh, 3 had a nice little bow on that, unexpected probably, arc, but there was an arc and it had a nice little ending. And then 4 came out and was like, oh, well, what are we doing here? And then they sort of broke things up a little bit, right? Story-wise,
Yeah.
Woody went on, found love and left everybody.
That's right.
So, and it's funny because I think I remember saying on the show that 4 didn't feel necessary, but it was so well done that you're like, that's a good story. Yeah, I just witnessed a good story, so I can't be mad at it. So then with 5, it does make me think like, ooh, you almost have this feeling of, well, don't break it. Like you did something perfect and then you added to it and that happened to work. So like few. And then with 5, you're like, ooh, oh, you're going to try it again. But
this is the problem I see, Brian.
Yeah.
I think that in order to get a Toy Story 5, you have to undo the ending of Toy Story 4.
100%. Yeah.
Right. And I was talking about this with my students today. So these are people who are, let's say between 18 and 20. Mm-hmm. And they were vehemently opposed to any notion of a Toy Story 5.
Interesting.
So there are those who say there shouldn't have even been a 4th one.
Uh-huh.
The 3rd one was just fine. And then there are those who say the 4th one was a good ending. But all of them, almost to the one, nobody was like, I'm excited for that. And I found that interesting because they're all, maybe, I was going to say more than us, but we grew up watching these movies. These are multi-generational films at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All of them have grown up within this world, and all of them are like, it came to an ending. Mm-hmm. And I just find that so interesting because it puts to the lie this idea of like, oh, you just keep going, and that's what people want.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I don't like the feeling of a movie coming up from a series that I love, and my first thought is, oh, don't screw it up.
Yeah.
Like rather than, yay.
Right.
Look, I also have resigned to the fact that this is just what's gonna happen. And you and I were texting this week. I think last episode we were talking about like, maybe we're done. I think new things are done. Like we're just going to keep, all we're going to do, we're going to like be like the bad guys in Tenet, and we're just like reversing the flow, and we're just going to like steamroll everything that already happened and just regurgitate. And like, I think I sent you that they're remaking Matlock.
That's right.
And it's like, what? But that's just, I'm not even mad anymore. It's like, yeah. Uh-huh.
Matlock
and so Toy Story 8, yeah, it's going to happen. So it's like, all right, just please let it be good. And I guess that's kind of where maybe it's like a little resigned sort of, well, then just make it good.
I mean, I just like, more and more, I think about Back to the Future 3, and I'm like, will something else happen with this franchise? Kind of like, well, probably at some point, something.
Sure.
But for the time being, that story is done, and that's just great,
Mm-hmm.
Like there's value in the ending, and that's sort of where I'm at with Toy Story 4, where I'm like, and this is something we talked about the movie on this podcast, right? That there was I felt real sadness at Buzz and Woody separating.
Yes, me too.
Like they're not going to see each other again, and so I feel like any contrivance you come up with to get them back together takes away the value of that ending.
What if it's Buzz's funeral?
That's dark.
Sorry. No, obviously I don't want that. Yeah.
Like you can't do Toy Story without Buzz and Woody. So it's not going to be like The Adventures of Buzz by himself.
Yeah.
So then you have to undo the end of the fourth film, and I just don't. That to me, that's like in the next Avengers movie. Robert Downey shows up and he's just like, "Hey, everybody, I'm back." Actually,
yes.
I never died.
Right. Well, and then I guess maybe that's the problem is they keep ending it. Maybe they shouldn't be ending it, although they were great endings. So. But yeah, it feels like a just kidding on accident, whether they mean it or not.
Yeah. Now, the other sequels that they proposed, I don't have as much emotional investment in, but just at a glance, it seems like there's more room to do stuff there.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
Right. Like you say, I haven't seen the second Frozen, but my daughter will be thrilled, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But Zootopia, yeah, well, of course you can do a sequel to that.
Yeah, makes sense, and it's pretty beloved, right? So why not spend more time with the characters?
Inside Out feels like you could do something with a whole new group of characters. You do it in a different kid or something, and
I think you could do that, or actually, yeah, maybe that is the best way to do it, like a fresher approach. But I was going to say, it was sort of about a kid turning into an adolescent and how feelings get more complicated, right? You start with sort of these basic feelings and then they become way more complicated. And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, what happens when they become 20, or sure, I guess you could sort of do that.
So there's room there, but when you say Toy Story, you know what it feels like to me? It feels like they got freaked out by how nobody watched Lightyear.
And they want to sort of, no. Our final stamp on the Buzz character is the one you know and love.
Right, exactly.
Interesting.
It feels like that to me,
Sure, yeah.
So I don't know. That's I feel like that's development. I don't know if you remember, but the only reason Toy Story 3 even happened was because Disney was going to do their own version. Do you remember this?
Oh, was that 3 or 2?
That was 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Disney, they had, Pixar was not part of Disney.
Right.
They had like a contract with Disney.
Right.
And so they were going to go their own way. So Disney was like, well, we're just going to do our own Toy Story 3. And then, they acquired Pixar. And part of the deal was Pixar would do Toy Story 3.
Right.
And it turned out fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a coin toss,
Yeah. They had some sort of like straight to video division, right? And weren't they going to do that?
That's right. The plan was to do something kind of, Return of Jafar type.
Yeah. Exactly.
I feel like they've gotten lucky with these Toy Story movies, which is why I'm skeptical,
Yeah.
That said, I didn't realize at the time we discussed the fourth film, but I mean, it is fairly polarizing among fans of these movies.
I guess I don't really know. I just kind of remember my feelings on it, which was like, I guess I don't feel like it was necessary, but I thought it was well done. That was
Yeah.
kind of my, but I guess I don't know. I don't know what the consensus is out there, but it's interesting to hear from your students. I mean, people that have had these movies in their lives since they've been born.
Yeah, right.
You know, that's their feeling.
Yeah, I mean the plurality were like, no, no, you know.
Yeah.
That said, here's another thing that's not going away anytime soon, Brian,
What's that?
and that is DC. I don't know, DC based stuff.
Yeah.
Not DC the city, but DC the company.
Yeah, and not even just strictly cinematic, right? I mean, this covers all DC. This is TV. This is video games. This is movies.
So this is a lot.
Yes.
And so, yeah, we talked about this a couple months ago. James Gunn is now the head honcho of DC. He is the Kevin Feige of DC.
Yep.
Now, interesting to note, we were just talking about Bob Iger. He mentioned how back in 2015, Isaac Perlmutter, who was the head of Marvel at the time, wanted to fire Kevin Feige.
Right.
The only reason he's still around is because Iger built a wall around Kevin Feige to keep him from having to answer to anybody other than Alan Horn, who was the head of the motion picture division at Disney at the time.
Now, what could be the excuse in 2015 when Marvel's on a tear to let him go?
Well, what happened was that Ike Perlmutter, man, this guy's interesting. He did not want any female-led movies.
This is kind of coming back to me. Okay.
Which is the reason it took so. I mean, it took until Captain Marvel before they had a solo female lead, right?
Right.
And he also did not believe Black Panther would be a hit.
Wow.
Which is a historically stupid thing to say, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so essentially what was actually happening behind the scenes is that he kept the purse strings really tightly closed. And so it made it hard to make deals with people. So I don't know if you remember this, but the timing works out around 2015. What's his name? Robert Downey was done with his contract.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kevin Feige was trying to make another deal with him, and Perlmutter was not letting that happen. And then this all happens in the background. If you notice, right then they announce, oh, Downey's going to be in Civil War, and Downey's going to be in the next two Avengers movies. Oh, and Downey's going to be in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
That all happened at the same time. The Spider-Man deal times out with this too.
Right.
You know, so I think to your point, I think Iger was like, well, this guy's doing a good job. Why are you trying to get in his way? You know?
Yeah.
And so very smartly, obviously, that worked out. And it set the template, which DC has been desperately trying to emulate for 9 years now.
Yeah. Like having everything interconnected.
Yeah. And I think, the plan was for Zack Snyder to be the guy.
Right.
That clearly did not happen. And then it was, let's get Jeff Johns, have him be the guy. That had its own set of issues. Then they brought in, Walter Hamada, had him be it's revolving doors over there.
Right.
So James Gunn, along with Peter Safran, was brought in. He made his pitch to David Zaslav, who's the head of this new company, Warner Bros. Discovery. This is his idea. And they went along with it. So now he's the guy. Now he unveiled the whole slate that they have planned for the next 5 years or something. I am, Brian, deeply skeptical that the majority of these projects will be made. I'm not saying that they won't be made. I'm saying at this point, it's probably too early to be pointing to a whiteboard and being like, look at all this shit we got coming in the next 7 years.
You just inadvertently answered the question that was brewing in my mind, which was not, are you excited about all this, but is it wise to try to plan so far in advance before thing one is unveiled upon the world?
That's right. Like, we've been to this dance already, not just with DC, with 15 other shared cinematic universes.
Yes, and I know we sort of look at DC as standing beside Marvel, but like Marvel didn't plan this. You know what I mean? Like, right. I think it's like they took swings and then saw something was working and had a dream and it worked. And like you said, so many other would-be franchises have tried to do this and it just doesn't work that way. You know, when you try to engineer it so precisely right at the start, it's like you kind of have to, improvise a little bit and see what's working and what isn't, and find your footing and find your flow. And then once you got that, and once you got everybody hooked, then you start going, all right, then we're going to do this saga. We're going to do that saga. But yeah, I was sort of like, wow, it's sort of interesting, sort of bold to come out of the gate and be like, this isn't what it is, but like, here's the next 10 years. It's
That's
like,
right.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
It's both brave and bold, Brian.
Yes.
So let's go down the list here. Now this is chapter 1 of what I'm assuming James Gunn, and I mean smartly, he's using his Marvel experience as something to build on, which of course, right, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So presumably chapter 1 is the equivalent of phase 1, but he calls it Gods and Monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do we got here? We got Creature Commandos.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an animated series that's going to span 7 episodes. And it's basically a team of commandos, Brian, who are also creatures. We got Rick Flag Sr., we got the Frankenstein monster, G.I. Robot, which I have to admit that I just love the name of that character.
G.I. Robot, yes. Yeah.
That's great.
That's like He-Man.
And this is, like I said, this is going to be animated. But what's interesting is that whoever they cast to play the voices have to play these characters in live action as well.
Yes, that is interesting. Across all platforms, even video
right.
games, apparently.
So the plan is for unanimity across platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I find that interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else? We have Waller.
Yep.
And this is going to be a Peacemaker spinoff.
Right.
Now, I find this interesting because this is Viola Davis playing Amanda Waller's character in Peacemaker. She's in the Suicide Squad, both movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that she is carrying over from the pre-Gunn era.
I didn't even think about that. So maybe that's a little clue that it is possible for Gal Gadot or, Jason Momoa or any of those people to continue.
Yeah. Right. Because they are doing a Peacemaker season 2. This is meant to be kind of like Peacemaker season 1.5 or something. Here's the big one, Brian. This is going to be the first feature out the chute, and it's going to be Superman Legacy.
Yes, written by James Gunn himself.
Written by James Gunn, possibly directed by James Gunn. We'll see how that goes. But according to Peter Safran, it's not an origin story. It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. He is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way. He is kindness in a world that thinks that kindness is old-fashioned, and he will wear his underwear on the outside. He didn't say that, but I'm assuming.
Didn't he poll Twitter about briefs or no briefs?
I think that was meant as a goof, and then, of course...
Yeah, it was an informal poll, I should say, but I wonder if he was kind of curious, though,
Yeah, and I don't even know where things landed with that poll, but
I don't either.
I am firmly Team Trunks, Brian.
Yeah, same.
I'm like, put that shit on the outside. That's how it goes.
Well, hey, I mean, everything you just said describing this take on Superman is exactly what I want to see. So I have high hopes for this.
That is true. However, worth mentioning that pretty much everything I just
what?
Everything I just said was echoed by the previous DC Trust like 3 months ago when Henry Cavill was all like, "Hey guys, I'm back."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they pulled that rug right out from under him.
That's true.
They pulled those red trunks right off of him. So yes, I think you need a strong Superman franchise in order to have any strong DC universe. I think that goes without saying. And of course, you know me. I no bigger Superman fan than I have an entire wall of my cave that is covered with Superman paraphernalia. That being said, this is now by the time this comes out, it'll be 2025, right? So we're talking 3 Superman movies in 20 years.
Wow.
Right? from Superman Returns to Superman Legacy, you got Man of Steel in the middle. Now, Man of Steel is a movie that you and I both like, but it was clearly received with polarization.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the general audience. I don't think the general audience is paying attention to Zack Snyder, this, that, and the other thing. But I think they are like, oh, another Superman.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Well, I like the idea though of a different era of his life, like a different feeling. It's got to have a different feeling. I don't want it to just feel like every other CG laden superhero movie. It just happens to be Superman. I want this to be Superman specific, like his feelings, his conflicts, his, like I don't want to see him battling craziness in the first one. Like let's get there. Like I really hope this is kind of a character driven story and becomes like the anchor for whatever it is they want to build out from.
And to that point, I think that's the reason that Gunn is not doing something with Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
I think it's so that he can truly set the boundaries of this universe the way he wants, rather than sort of having to incorporate whatever was done there. And that's not a judgment on that film, but it is like, well, he wants to broaden the canvas or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I genuinely think he wants to have a Superman who has a secret identity.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He wants to have sort of the classic setup with Jimmy Olsen, etc. He wants to have all of those pieces in place.
Yeah.
Right. So Man of Steel just, just skewed the Superman having Superman and Clark Kent being separate identities for Lois Lane. They did away with that right from the beginning. That worked for that story. But I have no doubt that that's part of what he wants to maintain in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or retain the secret identity.
I just had a thought. Do you think, the Flash movie, do you think this is going to be a bigger sort of catalyst for what lies ahead than they ever imagined when they first set out making that movie, where it'll be, all right, Flash messed up everything. You got 89 Batman. You got this person. You got that person. And then at the end, it'll be, I don't know why I thought of that SNL season where they didn't know who they were going to keep, which cast members. So they pretended like there was a fire in the studio. Do you remember that? And they're like, well, who's going to make it through, like to the next season? Like, let's see. And Lorne Michaels like takes John Lovett's hand and pulls him across. Right. And like, so like, do you think it's going to be like that where Flash is like, Momoa, take my hand. Godot, take my hand. Sorry to other people, then like go into whatever prime universe,
I wouldn't doubt it, honestly. I think because Gunn has said that the Flash movie, he said, by the way, that it's one of the best superhero movies he's ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Which I find interesting because he doesn't have really any skin in that game. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, or does he? Does this like kick off whatever he's planning to do?
But he didn't need to say that, is kind of my point, right?
That's true. He could leave that in the dust and say, onward.
He's like, and Flash is coming too, but he's like, and by the way.
Yeah.
Right. But he said, that's the one that resets the universe. He said that.
Mm-hmm.
And Aquaman comes out after that.
Right.
Right. Aquaman 2. So that is very telling to me anyway.
And did Momoa do some post, like a video of himself on Warner Brothers, like, I'm so happy, like not saying anything, but you're like, well, okay.
And everybody's trying to Zapruder that.
Right.
And I was like, is he so happy that he gets to keep being Aquaman?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he's a great Aquaman. I want him to stick around. I think I read a separate quote. I think it was from Peter Safran. He says, Jason wants to do a trilogy. He'll get his trilogy.
All right.
Referring to Aquaman.
Yeah.
So that to me says, well, then they're probably keeping that character around.
Yeah.
I think Gal Gadot is more of like a moving target right now. I don't know. I don't know what, because they've got a new Superman coming. They've got a new Batman coming.
Right. I forgot about the Batman one.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing. We got Lanterns.
Yeah, yeah.
This is about a company that makes light fixtures in the DC universe. It's kind of a man on the street perspective.
That's great.
Uh, so this is going to be a Green Lantern TV series for
Mhm.
HBO Max. Or HBO, I guess they haven't said. And Safran says our vision for this is very much in the vein of True Detective, and it'll have the Hal Jordan and John Stewart Green Lantern characters solving some kind of space crimes that apparently leads into whatever the big thing they're building up to.
True Detective. So bleak and fart sniffy. There's my hot take. No, I'm, no, yeah, all right. I'm into it.
You know, it's funny because once you get past Superman, this list starts reading like the conversation you have with a kid on the playground. Like, if I was in charge, this is what I would do.
It kind of does, right? I mean,
Right?
not to skip ahead, but sort of like Swamp Thing. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I'll be.
Yeah, I mean, I got those vibes because the next up on the list you have the Authority, which I'm going to go ahead and say Brian has no idea what the Authority is.
I do not.
Okay, see that? So the Authority was not originally even a DC property. It was actually Wildstorm. It was created by Jim Lee and his company, and then it jumped over. It became a DC property because they've just bought his company.
Okay.
But it's meant to be like a gritty, realistic, and I'm using air quotes, version of the Justice League.
Okay.
So you have characters who are in essence like pastiche characters.
Sort of Watchmen-y?
A little bit, but not as dark as that. But yeah, in that vein. So the Authority is a spinoff of the original version was called Stormwatch and became the Authority. It's written by Warren Ellis. And for example, you have two characters in the Authority are Apollo and Midnighter. And Apollo is like the hopeful, superpowered hero, and Midnighter is the dark vigilante in a mask. So these are pastiches of Superman and Batman. The difference being that Apollo and Midnighter are a gay couple. So, you know, it's essentially like, this is what I find interesting is like, well, the Authority is a great book, you know, but it works as a pastiche of the Justice League.
I was going to say, if you're kickstarting Batman and Superman off, it feels a little redundant. Yeah.
That's kind of my thought. Right. And I'm also like, it feels, this is where we get into like, I'll believe it when it happens.
Right.
Cause I'm just like, I don't know, you know?
Sure.
We're starting to get into like, maybe, you know, I think it's a great idea for something. I wouldn't say a movie. I would say maybe like a series, you know, like they did the Watchmen series.
Yes.
Something in that vein. But the idea that this is meant to exist in the same universe that you have a Justice League also that is meant to show up at some point, I'm assuming. Yeah. That's odd to me.
I do appreciate the bold move, but I have to admit, if the Authority was coming out this summer, I might catch it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But like if you put out Batman and you put out Superman and kind of get me primed, and then you start building out, you know, to the other corners. I mean, I know I'm just saying what Marvel does, but like it kind of works. It works for a reason. I don't know, but we'll see.
That I definitely like you just staying in the Gunn neighborhood, right? We went through a whole phase and a half before we got to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And it feels like the Authority is something in that vein, you know?
Totally.
Right. What else they got? Oh, here's one you might find interesting, Brian. Paradise Lost.
Okay.
So this is an HBO Max series that's the origin of Themyscira.
Actually, that doesn't sound like something I'd be interested in.
Right? Kind of a Game of Thrones, Wonder Woman origin without Wonder Woman in it.
Yeah, and like I have like, you know, like a surface knowledge of it, so I'm like, all right, let's dig in.
So this is where I appreciate that Gunn really is coming at it as just like a comic book nerd. Because this is stuff where you know, he sees the potential there, and I'm like, well, that's a good idea. And in that vein, obviously, you can't have a DC universe without Batman, and so we have the Brave and the Bold.
Yeah. So tell me about this. I have not read this.
So this is based on a comic book storyline called Batman and Son,
Uh-huh.
which is all about how Batman and his wife Olive Oil, they have a son. Oh wait, that's Popeye and Son. Sorry.
Oh, I was like, you're kidding me.
Sorry, wrong thing. No, he has a son with Talia,
Ah, okay.
and she raises him to be just this little shit who's like
Hmm.
10 years old and he's going to be an assassin. And then she just drops him off at Batman's doorstep and she's like, here he is. Peace out.
Mm-hmm.
And so now Batman has this son he's never known who he has to train to not be a murderer. And so he becomes his new Robin.
I got to be honest, that sounds really cool.
Right?
At the same time, that is a movie I want to see, period. At the same time, if you're trying to kick off something that you want to last for the next 10 plus years, I guess, I mean, obviously the kid will grow older, but it reminds me of Superman Returns, right? Where kind of like saddling a superhero with a kid, it can sometimes become like a weight dragging it down a little bit. Like that's...
Well, here's my thought on this. I think that they're probably looking at this in terms of, well, Matt Reeves is still doing his thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So Matt Reeves has a Bat universe, and we know there's going to be a sequel to the Batman. There's going to be the Penguin television show, and I'm assuming other stuff, right? And
yeah, and that's Batman early years, which I think, without realizing, is what I was sort of saying I want to spend some time with.
Yeah,
before,
exactly. So I'm guessing that you cast. Well, I don't know. I mean, how much older do you want to cast, right? I mean, I would say you cast a Batman who's in his mid-30s. You're probably good.
Yeah.
So that would be, that's like how old Pattinson is anyway, isn't it? Like,
yeah, I would guess. Yeah.
Right. So I think, but my point is this: Matt Reeves is really drilling down into this is gritty, grounded. Like you thought Nolan was gritty and grounded. Well, screw you. That's his. Right. And so
kick dirt in your face.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is going to be the more fanciful, more comic booky, and I don't mean that in a pejorative sense, version of Batman.
That sounds fun to me, honestly. I'm ready for that.
And the reason I say this is that if you've read the Grant Morrison run on Batman, which spanned several years, I mean, it really is its own little Batman epic.
Mm-hmm.
What Grant Morrison, what they wanted to do was create a version of the character that could encompass the dark and the light, like all the different iterations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was something Grant Morrison was really hit hard on. Like what Grant Morrison said, as far as they're concerned, every story that Batman has ever been in happened, and so that's a spectrum that's able to encompass all these different tones, right?
Yeah, right.
And this is a meta conversation that you and I have all the time, where I'm like, look, Batman can be the animated series and the Brave and the Bold cartoon show and the Adam West show and the Matt Reeves, and it's all Batman.
Yeah.
So that was the Grant Morrison approach, and the fact that James Gunn is looking at that as something to build on, I'm like, well, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I can dig it.
Right? So, and certainly, again, I think you got to do something to differentiate it from whatever Matt Reeves is going to be doing.
You know, and I if I'm being entirely honest, I really enjoyed the Matt Reeves, the Batman, but it's a lot, you know, and I was thinking like, oh, so this is like the next 10 years of Batman, and I will anticipate them to a degree, but I don't, I'm like, okay, buckle up. Like, like this is going to be heavy. And I kind of like then that these can coexist, because I'm okay with heavy Batman, but I don't want that to be the only Batman for a long time. So I kind of like the prospect here where I can kind of get both.
I agree with that. And I think certainly the Reeves version doesn't lend itself to a broader superhero universe. So fine, just put that in its own box. I don't want to see that version end.
And Gunn has even said this is going to have its own sort of header, right? Like DC Elseworlds or something.
That's right. Yeah. So like the Joker sequel that they're doing.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they should be doing. But it's.
I mean, but Yeah, it's interesting. I keep forgetting about that, but I mean, I keep forgetting that the first one made over $1 billion.
Yeah,
So
which
I
is why
mean,
they're doing it.
absolutely. And then Lady Gaga's in it, and I gotta admit, I'm very curious.
See, and actually, to that point, I think the fact that the sort of the Suicide Squad verse is continuing its own way, I think that's a way of keeping Margot Robbie in the mix.
Right, right. Oh, right. Peacemaker and all. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
Smart.
I think it's smart. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the Brave and the Bold. I mentioned the Batman sequel, which is set for 2025, same year as Superman.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we'll put the first time ever you have a Superman movie and a Batman movie in the same year, assuming dates don't slip.
Well, yeah.
We got Booster Gold. I'm excited about this one, Brian.
Okay. You're gonna have to bring me up to speed.
Well, Booster Gold is a comic book character who I was introduced to via the Justice League in the mid '80s, and there was an iteration of the Justice League in the mid '80s where they didn't have any of the heavy hitters, so no Superman, no Wonder Woman. Batman was like the biggest name, and it was like the Blue Beetle and these various characters who were just kind of it's sort of like imagine a superhero version of The Office.
Okay.
So they would fight bad guys and stuff, but it was also just as much about the banter and them playing pranks on each other and things like that.
That's fun. Okay.
And you had Blue Beetle and Booster Gold were like this comedy duo.
Okay.
And it was it's one of the great runs of that title, in my opinion. So Booster Gold, he's a guy from the future. He's like a janitor in the future.
All right.
And he basically steals some future technology and sends himself into the past because he's like, well, my life in my present sucks, so I'm going to go back to to the past where I have knowledge of the future, and I'll become a superhero, and then people will respect me.
I like it already. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I love the character.
Yeah.
And I love that they're approaching it as an HBO Max series because I'm like, this would totally work as a series.
Totally. I like. Yeah. It just feels so tonally different too.
Yeah,
as long as you're going to do all this at the same time.
Now, speaking of different, because this is a character who just had an incarnation recently, we have a Supergirl movie called Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Right.
Which I don't know that much about. It's based on a recent run by a writer named Tom King, but I think I've said before, like I basically tapped out of DC, of just comics in general after like 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not super familiar with this, but I think they're coming at it from a darker angle, just to contrast her with Superman.
Okay.
So what I read in that statement from Safran about Superman, he's a symbol of hope, et cetera, et cetera. Here this is a quote from. Well, I don't know who said this, whether it's Gunn or Safran, but the quote is, "We'll see the difference between Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time he was an infant, versus Supergirl, raised on a rock, a chip off of Krypton, who watched everyone around her die and be killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life, and then comes to Earth." Well, that's kind of an interesting angle.
I love it. Different.
She's older than Superman, but because of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly space
Sure.
travel stuff, she comes to Earth and she's younger than him. So he's her baby cousin who's now older than her.
Okay.
So
why?
Interesting.
Why go through all that?
Well, that was something that they added in the comics in the 2000s.
Yeah.
So here's some backstory.
All right.
So Supergirl has existed since the 1950s. And she was always Superman's younger cousin. She shows up on Earth. She's like, "Hey, here I am, yay!" And while you eat, or whatever. And then in the 1980s, there was a mini series called Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I think you know of.
Yeah.
And that was where DC kind of reset its continuity. So they killed off Supergirl in that story. That was a big deal. And then they rebooted Superman after that. And one of the ground rules that they put in place with Superman was that he is, and I think they misread this, but he's the last son of Krypton. So they're like, he is the last Kryptonian. There's no one else.
Okay.
Right. So basically for 20 years, let me rephrase. There was no Kryptonian Supergirl.
Mm-hmm.
However, Supergirl is a DC property, and they wanted to preserve the merchandising opportunities and the licensing and whatnot. So they arrived at a way of having a Supergirl character who basically looked like the original Supergirl, but her origin was that she was a protoplasmic entity from another planet who came to Earth and sort of imprinted on Superman, and then she merged with a Earthborn angel from the heaven realm. I mean, I'm not making any of this up. Right?
Yeah.
And it was a lot. And the problem was that if you're trying to boil down a character's origin, you say, well, Superman, he's the last survivor of this planet.
Right.
The Flash, oh, he got dipped in these chemicals. And, well, Supergirl, well, sit down and drink some water. Because here you go.
Yeah. And open your mind. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So they reintroduced the Kryptonian Supergirl into the comics in like 2004 or 5, I think it was.
Okay.
And so when they did that, they came up with this idea that, she was initially sent from, not even from Krypton, but whatever, the Kryptonian city she's from, to watch over Kal-El.
Mm-hmm.
But her ship got, waylaid along the way or whatever. And by the time she lands on Earth, so much time, it's been, 30 years or whatever. And he's a grown up already.
Right.
And I think they just did that to kind of give like an interesting new angle to the story.
Sure.
But I'm like, well, that's kind of a interesting approach to take.
Yeah. No, I get it. I appreciate you sharing that because now I have it in my head.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So that's again, they haven't said what it is, but I believe it's meant to be a film. And then lastly, you alluded to this earlier, we have Swamp Thing, which is meant to be a horror film. Now, here's the thing about whenever these people say, oh, this comic book thing is going to be a horror film, I treat that as suspect.
Sort of like the latest example would be Doctor Strange, right?
That's right. Oh, it's going to be a horror film, which, I mean, it was horrific at times.
I will admit that has probably come the closest to right. When people make that proclamation, because it had like decaying faces and those sorts of things.
What's funny, Brian, is I was watching that with Amina because she didn't go to the theater, and we got to the part where Anson Mount, like his mouth gets sealed and he blows his brain open or whatever.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah.
I'll let you imagine that in your head.
Yeah.
And literally Amina's like, okay, I'm not watching this anymore. And
really?
We never finished it.
Wow, that's so interesting because that to me was horrifying, but also still had kind of a colorful sheen to it. Like it felt acceptable within the Marvel boundaries or something. But it was like the stuff that surprised me was closer to the end with like the corpses and all that stuff.
Yes, like
Well, I guess she didn't get there yet.
we never made it. She was like, "Did you take Issa to this?" And I was like, "No."
I didn't see it, but I'm assuming there was an eye dart there.
Yeah. I was like, of course not. So she ducked out of there. Meanwhile, I'm like, but it's so cool. His brain blew up. It's amazing.
Right. But James Gunn, I mean, he's kind of a horror guy, so it makes sense that he'd be like, all right, let me have a little fun over here. But
what's funny about is Swamp Thing. Like we just did Swamp Thing just a couple of years ago. If you remember, there was that TV series.
Short-lived, but people liked it, right?
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get, Swamp Thing, they've actually done a bunch, which I actually didn't realize this, but there was, of course, 2 movies. The first one directed by Wes Craven.
Wow. I don't know if I knew that. I know they're like trauma things. That's the only thing I knew about them.
I mean, they're trauma-ish, but they're not from trauma.
Oh, they're not. Oh, I thought they were trauma. Oh, I see.
No, you're thinking of the Toxic.
Oh, Toxic Avenger. That's what I'm thinking of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first Swamp Thing movie, it stars Ray Wise, by the way, as like the scientist who becomes like that's what I think of.
I can see
it.
I
think of Ray Wise, right?
Yeah.
And Adrienne Barbeau is in it. But yeah, Wes Craven. So this is pre Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say it's a good movie, but I think it's good for what it's doing, Sure. And then they did the sequel, which was like 88 or 89. I think it was just before Batman.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, okay, so this is just camp.
Sure. That's what it is in my head. I think that
Yeah.
even why I sort of mixed it up with Toxic Avenger and all that.
Yeah, the second one was Heather Locklear is in it as the love interest, and it's pretty ridiculous. And then I don't know if you remember this. There was a TV series on USA.
Kinda. I don't think I had cable in that era, so it's like a vague sort of little thing in my head. But yeah,
I knew of the show, and it was only relatively recently that I found out that it lasted for like 60 some episodes, like a long time.
wow, huh?
Right? The show's also not good.
Oh, really?
No, I mean they had like $1.50 to make this thing.
Sure.
And then there was also an animated series.
That I do remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and the theme song was Swamp Thing sung to the tune of Wild Thing. I think that's the only reason it's memorable. But anyway,
Right.
my point is like they have done a lot with Swamp Thing, far more than I realized.
Yeah. Same. I just didn't think about it. I just picture like
Right?
a VHS cover I saw at the video store
That's
when I was young that like made an impression on me.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of like, okay, well that's all well and good, but what they've never really captured on screen, is sort of the Alan Moore take on the character, which is I think what he's most known for, what Swamp Thing is most known for.
Sure. Which is what? Like
So
what's his
Alan
sort
Moore-
of take?
So what he did, he comes in, and so the Swamp Thing character, was essentially here's a scientist who he's experimenting. These bad guys show up. He gets doused with these chemicals. He jumps into the bog, and then it merges with him, and he comes out as Swamp Thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what Alan Moore did is he did a story called, I think it's called The Anatomy Lesson. That was his first issue, I think, where basically Swamp Thing is being sort of dissected by the character Jason Woodrue, who's played by John Glover in Batman and Robin.
Oh, huh.
But what Swamp Thing finds out anyway is that he's not Alec Holland reborn as a swamp creature. He is a bunch of swamp shit that thinks it's Alec Holland.
Huh.
So like Alec Holland already died, and this just Swamp Thing is just something else, and that was kind of a big deal at the time. That was sort of it was a Last Jedi-esque kind of
pivot turn.
pivot. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so he had a great run on the title for quite a while, and I think for among comic fans, if they have any fondness, it's because of what Alan Moore did. I'm guessing that's what Gunn wants to get to with Swamp Thing.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly feels like if you're going to do something and you want to make it different, like that's one way to approach it.
Right.
I
gotta admit, when I heard this was happening, I was like, all right. But hearing about this stuff, I'm like, well, now I got something to connect with. I'm like, that sounds interesting.
I think so. It could be like I'm cautious about all of this because honestly, let's say Superman Legacy pulls a Superman Returns box office wide. Well, then it's game over right at the starting gate, right?
Yeah. Why didn't that one land, by the way, if you have a theory, and what can they do to avoid that?
Well, a couple thoughts. I think that, first of all, it was too expensive, and I think part of it is because they folded in the development cost of like the previous 10 years worth of Superman films that they were trying to get made. Because you had the Tim Burton one, you had the one that Brett Ratner was going to direct. Like there was a few versions, right?
Right.
And then the other thing is, I just think it was too dour. I mean, I honestly think that people want to feel uplifted a little bit when it comes to Superman film, and people are like, "Oh, he was too slavish." We're talking about Bryan Singer to the tone of the Richard Donner film, and I'm like, that's not true. Because other than the sort of the window dressing aspects, like
I was going to say the aesthetic maybe, but yeah.
And even then, I mean, look at the Daily Planet. It doesn't look anything like the other,
that's
like,
true.
Like Donner lent the whole thing verisimilitude, and it had a wit.
Yes.
And I think that Superman Returns is very morose.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it has a fuzzy warmth to it or something, just visually. Like, it looks like he was trying to copy like the visuals, but yeah, it didn't missed those things that made.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think there's stuff in it that I really like, but I don't think he quite nailed the appeal of Superman the movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If he was trying to make an homage to it, like
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, and then obviously the stuff about he's been in space and all, like I just think there was a lot.
Right.
I think that, and this is just me. I think that you could do an homage to the Donner film and the Christopher Reeve films without needing to dig so deep into their continuity. I think you could have just you do Superman, he kind of vaguely looks like the other Superman, you have the music, and people would have gone along with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the way to go. I don't think we needed another origin. Just
Yeah.
tell a Superman story,
Yeah.
So I think with Man of Steel, it was just as much a response to Superman Returns, right? With Superman, that was a complaint. Oh, Superman, what is he? He doesn't do anything. He fights an island or something,
Right. Right.
People are like, all right, well, in this one, he's gonna fight. He's gonna tear down half the city, and and then people got upset about that too.
Right. Right.
But everything's a response to the other thing, So I guess what? Superman Legacy, it's going to be a response to Man of Steel.
Sure. Yeah.
For good or for ill, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I am excited though for like a new Superman. It feels like a fresh start. Even if some characters carry over, like I'm ready. Let's
I
start a new journey.
And I mean, what they still have next year's slate coming up, right? So you've got, or not next year, this year. We're in next year. Shazam is about a month from now.
Oh, yeah.
Flash is in the summer. Blue Beetle is coming in August.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aquaman in December. So you got Blue Beetle and Aquaman coming out after the Flash. And I was like, well, if Flash is meant to restart the universe, they could have switched up the scheduling if Aquaman was not meant to exist in this new universe. So there's a reason that they're keeping it the way it is.
Right.
What they now Teen Titans, or rather it's just called Titans. That series has been going on HBO Max. That's ending. Doom Patrol, that is ending. Pennyworth, the origin of Batman's butler.
Yes.
Pennyworth, the origin of Batman's butler. That is ending.
Right.
I think the only DC show that is continuing on for a short while is Superman and Lois.
Ah, okay.
And I think Gunn said something to the effect of like, well, everyone likes it. It's doing well. We'll let it run for at least another couple seasons.
Okay.
So I could see that ending just before this new movie comes out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, the timing would work out.
Yeah.
And then the plan is basically all of everyone needs to be rowing in the same direction. So essentially, they're going to do what Marvel is doing with the Disney Plus shows and all that.
Right.
So that is a lot.
Well, that is a lot. But I mean, could I say this to the audience? Could we have a better guide than Zaki helping us wade through this announcement?
Well, here's something interesting. James Gunn said that he has spoken with Zack Snyder about all this.
Oh, huh.
And Zack Snyder told him to kick rocks.
Yes.
Don't let the door hit you. No. It says here that I don't know if you know this, but and you wouldn't because you don't live online. But the Zaddies. Bless their little hearts. They are obviously very upset about this. They're taking
Oh, of course, sure, yeah.
Right. Because this means that the universe that they've been clamoring for is finito. Now, what they want is for Netflix to buy the Snyderverse.
That feels like an internet idea,
right?
Yeah. God bless them.
So there's a hashtag sell sell the Snyderverse to Netflix or some such thing. But basically, they want Netflix to buy whatever Snyder had planned originally. So that's 3 Justice League movies, Ben Affleck's Batman movie, which again he has said he does not want to do.
Right.
The man said, "I would have drunk myself to death if I made that movie."
And yikes. I mean that, good, then don't make it. Like, I don't want him to do that, to punish himself.
And then they want the alternate David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. So okay, so it's like, guys, like, I mean, what do you even say?
Would I watch that, by the way? Yes, I would. But yeah, I think at least, that universe, there's something there. I mean, that's a box set there. So that's something to be happy about.
If nothing else, I said this when Snyder's Justice League cut. I'm like, this thing was written off as an impossibility, and there it is. You can own a Blu-ray of it.
Mm-hmm.
Take the win.
Yep.
Anyway, so James Gunn took notice of this, what was going on, and he says, "I have to say, this has got to be the wackiest hashtag ever."
Wait, what was the hashtag again?
The like sell the Snyderverse thing, whatever it is.
That's funny.
Sell the Snyderverse to Netflix. That's the hashtag. So here's what James Gunn said. He says, number one, Netflix hasn't expressed any such interest, although we've discussed other stuff. And two, Zach hasn't expressed any interest and seems to be happy doing what he's doing. And yes, we too have talked.
Mm-hmm.
He contacted me to express his support about my choices. He's a great guy. Again, he seems really happy with the massive world building he's doing now. He's doing that whole those zombie movies, but he's this other thing too, right? The sci-fi,
like his Star Wars, basically.
Yeah, a Rebel Moon, I think it's called.
Yeah,
and people forget that like Snyder and James Gunn worked together. On, Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, because Gunn wrote that.
Yeah, we forget that, right? Now, what Gunn says is, we know we're not going to make every single person happy every step of the way, but we can promise everything we do is done in the service of the story and in the service of the characters. We know you cherish, and we have cherished our whole lives. It sounds to me, I mean, just from the slate, he is a fan.
Yes.
That's
it's not like he's like, let me get to work and read some of this stuff, and we'll plot something out. Like he's got the toys, and now he's excited to open the chest and then have some fun.
I think what enthuses me about this Gods and Monsters slate is he's got a proper proportion of big guns and deep cuts.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you need, And
that's, I would say, even for someone like me, who's like a casual as they get fan of this stuff, like, like that's what I want. I want more Superman. I want more Batman, but like Guardians, I like being introduced and getting excited about new things also. So yeah. I'm intrigued by the possibilities. Like, oh, well, I don't know. This superhero office thing sounds kind of intriguing. Like, I can't wait to hopefully fall in love with that alongside the stuff that I also know and can't wait to see.
Well, with that in mind, I would love for our listeners to write in with their comments. What do you think about the James Gunn DC slate? Do you think it'll even happen? I have to say, I prefaced all of this with, I remain skeptical.
Yeah. Well, there'll probably be some red marker on the, right?
Yeah.
On this list coming up over the years.
I think some stuff is going to get crossed out.
Yeah. And like rearranged and rethought. And yeah, I'm sure.
Well, there was a dark universe that was planned with Tom Cruise and Johnny Depp and Javier Bardem and Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
And we all point and laugh at that now.
Russell Crowe.
That's right.
Was going to be their Nick Fury.
Nick Fury. So, I am, if not skeptical, I am cautious.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, like I said, let us know your thoughts. You can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. If you're looking for me online, you can find me on Twitter for now. Let's see how long that continues to be the case. At Zaki's Corner. That's also my website, sad.com. And you can see my reviews at the San Francisco Chronicle and also at IGN. Brian, what do you have going on?
Well, I can't remember if I said this on the last episode, but Puppy Dog Pals, the final episode is out. It is now a completed series. It's kind of amazing. So that is all out there, Disney Channel, Disney Plus, Disney Junior. And just today, Thursday, the 8th or whatever this is, Young Jedi Adventures, the Star Wars animated show that I'm working on currently, has officially announced a release date, which is May the 4th, if you can believe it. And they'll be coming out on Disney Plus and Disney Junior. So it is wild for me. I've been on this for, coming up on 2 years maybe or something. And seeing these images finally released and these characters, and it's very exciting. So looking forward to the lead up to this. So I love this show. I'm really excited about it.
Well, I know I'm excited to see it, and I know everyone listening is curious to see it as well.
Yeah. What's exciting about it too, and with your kids, even in mind, some of your kids, is it's really, it is for a younger audience, but the whole idea behind it is, I've had a lot of parents tell me, my friends, I want to show my kids Star Wars, but they're not ready. Like they either can't sit that long, or little things are too intense or whatever. But this is sort of that on-ramp. This is the introduction to lightsabers and the Force and Jedi and these ships and the light speed and all this stuff, and then hopefully getting that sort of building an excitement and a familiarity with these sights and sounds, and then they're like, hey, give me more of this, and you're like, well, have I got something for you? And you get to show them the movies and hopefully make them fans. So
wow. Okay. Well, we will be back in our next episode talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So that will be our next episode. But until next time, on behalf of my partner Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This has been MovieFilm 263. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Welcome, friends. It's the MovieFilm podcast. Enjoy the show. Zaki and Brian are talking about movies. MovieFilm podcast on the radio.